You're tuned in to another Bitfolio media production where we listen, learn, and adopt everything cryptocurrency. I'm your host, Willie Crypto. I'll be joined by my correspondent, Rich Gibson, and we'll break down a sleeping giant that's come out of hibernation and ready to set sail for 2018 and beyond. I'm talking about Bitshares. We'll be right back. We're back, and I'm joined by my correspondent, Rich Gibson. What's up, brother?
How you doing,
Season's greetings, man.
Season's greetings.
Yep, and today we're talking about Bitshares. And Bitshares, for those of you who don't know, it's one of the world's oldest cryptocurrencies. They've been around since 2013, and they are the world's first decentralized exchange. That's one of the currencies that actually pulls on my heartstrings. I've been a part of the Bitshares community for a while. Got to know some of their technologies and some of the services they provide. So, Rich, this question for you. Looking under the hood of Bitshares, I've turned a lot of my friends and family on the investing part of Bitshares, but what's to this unique technology under the hood?
I like the fact that it's decentralized. I like the fact that what's unique about their pay model is that just as if you were to use another like a smart contract platform, because in its essence, that's what it is. It's a smart contract platform where you can produce decentralized autonomous organizations or decentralized autonomous corporations, whichever term you want to use. And instead of burning or using gas like you would on Ethereum with the fees, or instead of using fees that go to miners like you would in Bitcoin, a portion of the fees go back to a reserve that's used for the further development of the platform. So not only can you create autonomous corporations on this thing, but the whole platform itself is autonomous, self-funding, voter-supported, and that is like one of the ultimate goals that I think Dan was trying to achieve when he developed this platform, and that's one of the really exciting things about it that I've seen.
Awesome. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know and who are new to the cryptocurrency space, one thing that you're going to learn as you're doing your due diligence and you're reading the white papers is pretty much 99% of these companies are empty shells, meaning they are going to try to get to market with a product, and you can literally count on one hand how many cryptocurrencies actually have a use case or a business model or open for business. Bitshares happens to be one of those companies. They do several things, as Richard touched on. The thing that I'm more excited about is their exchange, where you can literally go on and trade what's called Smartcoins. Now, what are Smartcoins? Smartcoins are coins that Dan Lammer invented that has an algorithm pegged to different precious metals like gold, silver, fiat currencies like the US dollar, the Bitwon, the British pound. You can literally trade those currencies and they're decentralized. So that's something that's really exciting. Also, they have recurring payment models. What I mean by that is you can literally go onto the platform and you can have any of your online bill payments come inside with their own private keys and actually take out their monthly bill payment. That's something that banks just don't offer right now. So it's very exciting technology.
Yeah. One of the things I like about interacting with Bitshares is that you can use a username. And when I say that, I mean, when you interact with the Bitcoin network or even with the Ethereum network or any of the cryptocurrencies, Litecoin, Vericoin, any of those, basically your interaction is your private key, which you probably never see, but you know that it's in your wallet, and your public address, which is usually a string of characters that you probably can't remember or don't even try to memorize, but you should memorize your seed cell. But with Bitshares, you can create a username. When I signed up for my account, I created a username. There is a long key that's used as a password, but that username is what's very unique about this platform. So we're talking about being able to log on to a blockchain application, a blockchain platform, similar to with the ease of logging into your email. So you can remember your email address. You can remember your Bitshares address as well. That was one of the things, and I'm glad that you mentioned the pegging of assets to those smart coins, because I really didn't know about correct me if I get this terminology wrong, trading pairs and things like that. I'm excited about Bitshares because it's got me excited about the investment portion. In addition to those algorithmic pegs that you mentioned, you can create your own assets to peg a smart coin to, like a share in your company. So that is very, very, very exciting for anybody out there that's considered ICOs or even stock distributing stocks. So that was exciting.
That's awesome. So let me ask you a question. Where do you think Bitshares is going at this point in 2018 and beyond? Because at the beginning of the year, Bitshares, in my opinion, from an investment standpoint, was one of the most undervalued cryptocurrencies. They were trading somewhere between 2 and 3 cents. And then on June the 10th, they hit an all-time high of 17,642 Satoshi. But when you look under the hood on what actually took place, it was pretty much a pump and dump. It was pretty much off of fluff. So as I started to study the management team, Dan Lammer, who Rich Gitson spoke of earlier, who's the original founder, he pretty much dropped it off to his father, who's the godfather of Bitshares, Stan Lammer. And one of the things that I disagreed with them, so to speak, is he basically said, if you build the technology, people will come running. Well, that couldn't have been farther from the truth, because in this space, as you see, there are companies out there that are trying to win. And I just thought that they kind of dropped the ball from their marketing standpoint. But ever since then, they've gotten a partnership with Eris Bank that I think that could be huge. That's going to carry them into the future because they're going to integrate their systems to do decentralized banking. So from that standpoint, I think that Bitshares is on the rise.
Yeah, I think from the technology side of the technology community, I think that the rise is attributed to, it's Dan Larimer, and we're 6 months, about 7 months away from the maturation of the EOS distribution model and crowdfunding. These guys have built, they're shooting for $1 billion funding. They've already talked about they're going to be $100 million fund for other platform for other companies that build on top of the EOS platform. Every time Dan gets on, he's telling you, EOS is connected to Bitshares, is connected to Steemit, which we'll talk about later on in another segment. So when we get to June 2018, we will witness the trifecta of graphene technology, which we talked about earlier, directed proof of stake consensus algorithms, Bitshares on the trading platform, Steemit as a social media platform on blockchain, and EOS as an additional smart contract platform on the blockchain. And I think that the buzz, my excitement, is coming from the trifecta, what I like to call the trifecta that will culminate in June with the release of EOS. The testnet is already running. I've been dabbling in, but I've definitely been dabbling in Bitshares because I want to learn the investment side of it, because I've always kind of shied away from it because I always thought of that as kind of like an exclusive club with Wall Street. But now that me, you, Will, anyone out there can get on there and trade these currencies and peg them to real life things like dollars and other assets, then I think you'll see a lot of more individual investors out there.
That's exactly right. Just to piggyback what you were talking about, what's your thoughts on the scalability issue? Because Bitshares is one of those platforms that boasts that they can do 100,000 transactions a second. That is like orders of magnitude that we've not seen in this space. Yep. So we know Ethereum pretty much had first mover advantage in the smart contract space, but they're having issues right here when you're talking in terms of scalability, and it's going to come to the forefront in 2018. Yeah. What I've studied here lately is I'm starting to see a lot of businesses that are defecting from the Ethereum platform and starting to sit it on top of Bitshares platform because of the scalability. Because the reality of it is, when you join on the Ethereum network, you're pretty much sharing 30 seconds of transaction. So what's your feelings going into 2018? Could there be a flippening with that?
Yeah, because I am looking forward to EOS to tie all of this stuff together. Bitshares already has the capabilities of creating an autonomous company, issuing shares, setting up different levels of payments as far as like 2 or 3 multi-signature transactions. It does boast 1.5 second transaction speeds. You have fees that are split. 20% of them go back into a pool of that 3.7 billion BTSs. And that pool is for the further development of the platform. A lot of times when we see these ICOs, they have a certain portion of money. Usually that first allocation of that the ICO round is for the development. Once that is spent there, the rest of the coins are either burned off, or there were some coins in reserve for some early adopters or early founders, and then the coin is just left to the market. This is going to be a recurring thing. Portions of the fees for every transaction are going back into a development pool to further push this platform forward. And that is it's very sustainable. It's very exciting because we know that, hey, if you make an improvement, there may be bounties to fix bugs. There may be for improvement proposals. There may be payments for that. All of that stuff is very exciting. That will draw developers to it.
Awesome. And then the last thing, a couple questions that I got in regards to when you're talking about being environmentally friendly. That's starting to become important. It's definitely important in the cryptocurrency space because of electricity usage. You got Bitcoin, who uses a lot of electricity, obviously, right. And then you got Ethereum with the gas prices. Mm-hmm. Can you kind of go into, without getting too technical, the differences that you experienced going over to the Bitshares technology with graphene, and what's the differences?
Yeah, well, you're talking about not only a proof of stake, which you're talking about, a proof of stake, but you're talking about a delegated proof of stake is what the Bitshares is saying is their consensus. Okay. Which also EOS will, their consensus will be delegated proof of stake. So it'll be a carryover from Bitshares to EOS. What that means is, right, so right now, you've heard us talk about the proof of work. What that started out as, you could do the proof of work or run those algorithms or solve those complex math problems with your CPU on your regular computer. Then as the difficulty increased, people started modifying graphics cards and putting them in just rows and rows of batteries of graphic cards to work on it. And then ultimately what we have today is the development of ASIC chips, which are application-specific instruction integrated circuits. And so those are specifically designed and developed to run that algorithm, and they run it well, but they run hot and they burn a lot of electrical energy doing that. When you have a proof of stake, what you have, instead of brute forcing a mathematical problem to get consensus, to prove proof of work, what you have is you have someone who stakes their coin or stakes, they're basically saying, this is what I have invested into this platform. And because of that, and because they invested that or put those coins in and they're holding them, that gives them more credibility and more activity on the network. What EOS and originally started out with Bitshares, what they've done is called the delegated proof of stake. So me as a witness, what they call a node or like a higher level node, I can solicit a non-witness node. Let's just say you have one. And you can basically delegate your voting power to me. And if other people delegate their voting power to me, they're basically voting me to be able to create blocks. Okay? So we're not doing this with burning electricity. We're doing it by the power of our reputation and the power and our proving to the network that we have an invested stake in there. So that lets them know that we'll be good actors on the network.
I think that Bitshares can be one of the main players in 2018 and beyond simply because of the privacy. I believe that decentralized exchanges are going to come on board in 2018 because the reality is that Wall Street is now here. When they get here, they're going to have their bird dogs out looking under the hood at a lot of these cryptos and find out who's actually have open for business. Bitshares is one of those companies. They've been a sleeping giant, but I think they're out of hibernation and they could be one of the winners. What do you think about Bitshares going beyond 2018?
I like Bitshares for 2018. I like the capability of it. I like the way it was developed. I like the way it was funded and the coins are distributed. I like everything about it. I'm excited, and I hope you guys are just as excited about it as I am.
Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is Willie Crypto with Bitfolio Media. We're signing out. Don't forget to tune into our next segment when we discuss steaming.